Good evening and welcome to tonight's show. I'm your host, Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and I thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and share and let everyone know that we are on the air. We are streaming simultaneously on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel at True Blue Designs. Also, I would like to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the notification bell so that you are alerted when new content becomes available. Now, at the beginning of October, I announced that our show has broadened its reach. And now today, I would like to announce that we are up to almost 20 podcast stations where you can find our show. Stations such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. So tune in to True Blue Designs presents the Inside Perspective at your nearest podcasting site. Now, tonight's guest is the owner of Trident Strategy Group, a strategic communications and public relations firm located in Savannah, Georgia. This firm focuses on public and governmental affairs as well as political consulting. Please help me give a warm welcome to tonight's guest, Mr. Moncello Stewart.
Hey Tina, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
All right. Thank you so much for having me. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. Hey, I've been trying to get you on this show for over a year.
Timing is everything.
That's true, and I didn't think about it you said yes in the height of election year, so I really appreciate it because I know that you're extremely busy. So thank you so much for carving out an hour of your time to share with the viewers about yourself. So you've been how's the family? How have you been doing?
All is well. Everybody's well. Everybody's healthy. Just doing great down here in Savannah. Loving the weather. Staying away from Atlanta. It's too a little cold.
It's cold up here.
I'm wearing UGG boots and jackets right now. I'm still in shorts over here right now. So
really, yeah, it's chilly up here today. You can hear it in my voice.
Yeah, I don't do the cold. I try to avoid going north of Dublin.
Well, we're gonna get you up here to visit soon. Well, we're gonna start off the show by allowing you to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, one, thanks for having me. Name is Moncello. I've been in the marketing and public relations kind of field for the last few years, focusing a lot in political consulting, and came on a kind of community activism side, and of course with the fraternity, the greatest fraternity of all, Phi Beta Sigma. Joined down to Georgia Southern, became the president of the grad chapter in great city of Savannah, where I was able to lead a group of really well young men. And by doing that things, we were so active in the community, we started seeing other issues that were things that was out of the fraternity's control. And those type things needed more guidance and needed more support than just the local grad chat. We needed some strong political power involved. And those kind of reasons and decisions are the things that got me really involved now.
Yeah, it's one thing I've known you for around 13 years. And one thing I do know about you is that you've always been community conscious and community centered. So why is that so important to you?
It is. I mean, giving back is how we change communities, right? We all often talk about receiving. But what do you give? That was a lesson that I was taught at an early age from my mom, and looking at things that my brothers did, especially my middle brother Mondo, who kind of pretty much did everything I was doing before me, and just got a chance to really see certain things. So when you're in a community and you're trying to organize, you're trying to get things for yourself. When you start seeing those things, you start also seeing things that others need. And so when I was involved in wanting to do things for the Sigma Beta Club, well, the Sigma Beta Club just wasn't infected with someone else that had something to do with housing, or somebody else that had breast cancer, or somebody else that had this. And we start seeing like, it's not just my issue. I'm not the only one with the issue. And then as I start working throughout the years, you start developing, start seeing so many other issues, and I just got really involved with pretty much all the issues I could help with.
Yeah, yeah. You grabbed hold of one and you kept going.
Right, right, right.
So tell us about your journey to creating One Seed Inc.
Yeah, so OneSeed is my it's like my baby project, my pet project. It is something that I've thought about and talked about for a while. So OneSeed is my nonprofit. Um, I started right in the middle of COVID. I started COVID, and the idea of OneSeed was that as I was doing some of this organizing, as I was out in the community doing work, I would see a lot of the same groups that was doing a lot of the work, but those same groups were like smaller organizations that would not or could not get support from larger organizations. They wasn't getting big sponsorships, or they wasn't getting grants, or so they were not 501c3s. Sometimes they were just group. There was a mentoring club or a gardening club or a dance group, but you would see these same people all over the place. And so what I kind of went and worked with my business partner Kelly on this, and got some good influence from some good friends, and we decided to develop a nonprofit for nonprofits, a nonprofit that would be similar to United Way in the sense of that we will help smaller groups. The idea with this is that groups that need that funding from 500 to maybe $1,000, that every month we would give a mini grant to a different small nonprofit that that do not have to be a 501c3, and we would just crowd fund for it, and it's been very successful. We've been able to award, over 15 mini grants over the last year and a half to deserving small groups and nonprofits. And I like to see when people text me back and say, "Hey, thank you for giving me that 500, but now I have my 501c3," or "Thank you for investing in this." So it's been a long road. But we are definitely growing, and the goal would be to grow this to more than Savannah, but to grow into a statewide agency.
Okay, so right now, do you only serve organizations in Savannah, or is it Georgia wide? Who can apply for the mini grants?
Yeah, right now it's just the Savannah Chatham area. We have given one mini grant up in Carrollton for this
Okay.
group that I really thought was really deserving and worth it. But because I'm not ready to spread because of resources, we're not. I don't know if we're ready to spread, but we're looking. I think as we start receiving more money and start growing, so that we can develop in other areas. Because just imagine one of the things that I saw was it was some years ago, and I know everybody's selling. I mean, sell these bottles of waters on the corners now. These young guys, and people have different opinions on is that okay, is it safe, or if it's not. But it reminded me of the little league teams that would get out here on the corner and do the car washes and sit out there all Saturday just to make a couple of $100. And I would
Mm-hmm.
look and say, wow, these it's 15 kids out here, and they may make $300 or $400, for a whole day, and that's really nothing when you're talking about making change and getting the resources that they need. And seeing one of those car washes is actually what inspired me to develop the nonprofit, because I was like, well, I'd rather just give you the $500.
Right.
Not saying that you shouldn't work and do a car wash. I'm not saying that at all. But I also know that I've been in those places. I work with some of those nonprofits. When you doing a project like that for a whole day and you give $300 for a group of 17 kids, you're not getting much out of that but some CC's pizza. And so, really just trying to find a way to pour into groups at a larger level. And, I would love to branch this and grow this thing out so that we can do more in the state of Georgia.
And talk a little bit about your One Seed Inc.'s three initiatives.
Right. So, my program consists of three things. The first thing is the mini grants, which is what we do monthly, is give out the mini grants. Is, we take a application online, depending on how many people apply, my board members look at those applications and then vote on, the winner for the month. That's the first program. The second program is the board development. We know as a nonprofit that the reason why you probably need this $500 or $1,000 is because you're a small organization that's trying to get to become a larger organization. So what we want to do is go in there and help you develop your board and your organization, because we know what we find out is the reason why a lot of these organizations are not getting funded or not getting to the place that they want, because they're not even developed as an organization. They don't have
Mm-hmm.
articles. They don't have proper board meetings. Some people say I want to start a nonprofit. I'm gonna put all my family members on the board. Like those type things is trying to break. You don't have any a plan for fiscal responsibility.
Right.
You don't have a strategic plan for your organization. Those are things that we want to come in there and work with your nonprofit on, so that you're not dependent on this $500,000, but you can go out there now and get larger grants. The third thing is our Tiny STEM program, which we say how many nonprofits are competing in the same space. How many nonprofits are not working together? So the idea of this is when we see certain programs, a good example of that would be a back to school drive. How many groups can we say instead of each one of y'all doing one every weekend, is 10 of them? How many of y'all are willing to work together on
Yeah.
one program? The 20 STEM program is more of a commitment, a pledge to say, if there's an opportunity for us to work together, we'll try to work together. And so what we may do is say, hey, Tina, I heard you got a back to school drive. Or, hey, Moncello, I heard you got a back to school drive. Let me link y'all with each other and see if we could kind of bring something together, and we can make a larger impact by doing something bigger instead of having two small
Right.
things.
Right. Yeah. You're stronger together.
Strong together.
Now, you touched on one thing, and I want you to just elaborate just a little bit on it. How important is it for you to diversify your board? You mentioned someone saying, well, we're going to put all of our family members on it, or we're going to put everybody that's in the same organization that we're in on it. I've been preaching this for the longest, so I want somebody else to say it. How important is it for you to diversify your board when you're creating a nonprofit?
That's one of the most important things you can do. I think because most people just hear nonprofit and they think tax write-off. They don't understand the organization of a nonprofit. If you sit there, and I don't care what board you are on, if you sit there and your board is your family, your board are people that look like you or act like you, everybody around, you're not going to grow that organization. I could usually look at an unsuccessful nonprofit and could go directly to what that board looks like.
Right.
And that's one of the first things you do. And so you got to, if nonprofits need funding, nonprofits are looking for money. Money just don't come from one community or from one area. And not only that, you want to get ideas from different people. You want to get ideas from the Black community, the white community, the rich community, the poor community, the straight community, the gay community. I mean, I don't care what community it is. You want to be as diverse as possible, because we do know that better businesses and better organizations are those that show a level of diversity in it.
Right. Right. Yes, I'm so glad you touched on this, because like you said, when you look at a lot of nonprofits, if they're not succeeding, if you go straight to that board, you're going to see the main reason why, because they haven't diversified. And then I think that there's growth in diversity, right? You don't know it all, and if you bring in people from different walks of life or different areas that can really help you in whatever your mission is, then that's your foundation to grow.
Right.
But I think some people are more concerned about control than they are about the mission and the vision of the nonprofit and the growth, because you got to be willing to listen. And I know, working with you, I'm sure that's a big thing. If you're going to spend your time and your resources to help out another nonprofit, they have to be willing to listen.
That's right. That's right. And we do need them. And the thing is, it's a lot of the work in these communities, a lot of things that you see, almost every issue that pop up, almost every disaster or problem in the community, you can find nonprofits at the front of that trying to fix it.
Right.
And you can find, even you're going to see the larger ones, you see smaller ones. They do amazing work. I mean, just countless work that I watch some of these people do in the community, and many would go unnoticed. Many would never be recognized. Many would never be paid their value or their worth. Because they do it from the love in their heart. And so my goal is to develop those groups so that those groups can be self-sufficient, can sustain, and so that when opportunity presents itself for more funding, that is more money to go around to support your lifestyle, your living. We do know if you want to retire and you want to be a millionaire, nonprofit is probably not the way to go. But we also know that a lot of people desire to work in nonprofit. If I could, I desire to give back as much as possible.
Yeah, you're very passionate about community work. That's
I love it. That's the roots. It started with Sigma, and it just went to every organization that you could think of after that. I'm a member of the fraternity. I'm a member of the lodge. I'm a member of 100 Black Men. I'm a life member of NACP. So I am all over the place, but I love it.
Let me ask you this question, because one thing that I've noticed about you, and everybody doesn't have this gift, you have the ability to have people to get on the same page and work together for a common goal. I've seen it several times. Um, how are you able to do that? Because everybody's not able to. I mean, you're able to say, just like you said, hey, you know, we've got this event, you bring in 20 different people, and next thing I know, I see on Facebook that you have 20 different organizations that some don't have anything to do with one another, but they all are able to come together for that one common goal. How are you able to do that?
Man, I think leadership is about expectations, and leadership is, about how you have relationships with people. And I think what I can say is I think I've had good relationships with people. Not always, is all not always perfect, but I think I've had good. I think I have good relationships with people, and even the ones that was not. I could look back on things I did wrong. Um, but I think the answer to that question is I've developed great relationships over the years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was the one that was checking in on people. I was the one that would just pop up at your son's daughter's birthday party. I was the one that was just doing small things because it's more than just, when I joined these organizations, I didn't join just to not work. I joined to be active member of these organizations. I joined for change. Each thing I joined presented something different for me. Each one gave me something that the other one didn't give. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I think being in leadership, being a selfless leader, making sure I'm accountable, making sure that I'm at events. People start seeing that. I'm like, man, whether I like him or not, he show up. He's always there. And at some point, people, even if they don't like it, they start seeing it like, you know what, I kind of wouldn't mind working with him, and try your best to keep foolishness and mess out of these conversations and organization. It helps as well. So I think I built good relationships, and
Mm-hmm.
so when I got in positions of power or positions of influence, what I did was I didn't go reinvent the wheel. I went back to those same organizations and say, "Come on with me. Hey, I got this program. Can I use all four of these groups? I got this
Mm-hmm.
program. Can I use this person from here?" And what I noticed is most people do want to work together, and that just kind of goes back to the nonprofit. Why sitting here and try to have five different programs when I got four organizations we could come together on one large program? And that's
Right.
been very successful. I think I've been really good at creating events and ideas and programs here in this area, and being really good at having good turnout for them.
One thing you did say that I did grasp is the power of being a selfless leader, right? And I tell my kids all the time, your character, morals, and values are what defines you as a person. And when people are around you and they work with you and they see that those three things are consistent, then they know that they can believe in you,
Right,
right? And
right.
they know that your word is your bond. I'm going to share this one thing with you. I'm going to go on the next question. I don't know if you remember this, but the Athens chapter was having something at um, some type of theater
Okay, yeah, 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 yeah,
in Athens,
yeah, yeah.
and CJ, rest
Right.
his soul, had reached out
Mhm.
to you about the event, and you told him, okay, I got you. That's all you said, and I remember the look on his face when he heard a ruckus at the door. When you come into the door, when you get your ticket and everything, he heard a ruckus. I was standing next to him. And when he turned around and saw it wasn't just you, it
I brought the
was
crew with me.
you and now your definition of a crew is not, I mean, let me tell you all, Mr. Stewart runs real deep. He brings support.
Right.
And just to see the expression on his face, I mean, money, it was priceless. Just to know that somebody said, I got you, and and you showed up. You didn't tell them you were coming, but you just said, I got you. And that means a lot. How important is it to the community to know that we have them, that we're there for them? How important is it?
That's very important. I mean, that's one of the issues we deal with now with voting. That's one of the issues we deal with now with turnout for certain things. If the community don't feel like you have the bad, the community feel like you're not going to show up, they're going to gradually distance themselves from you. We see that time and time again. I think, going back to, I remember that story. I remember that first Athens event. I think I made about 3 or 4 in the world, so I got to get back down there. I got to tell Sarge to send me some information when we're gonna do it again. But I remember kind of, and I always remember those events because it always fell in my birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's always in July. And,
Uh-huh.
it was like 4th of July weekend actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And I remember like when it was first told me, I was like, I'm not gonna make this event. It's my birthday weekend. I'm gonna go somewhere and hang out and do my own thing. And I remember texting CJ. We would text back and forth about it. He would always make a joke, and one of our running jokes was about basketball, because when we used to have the state conference and we used to have the basketball tournament, the championship game was always Savannah versus Athens.
Oh,
Man,
really?
they beat our butt. They beat our butt. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They showed these young boys out. The old heads came in there with plays. They were bullying us, pushing us all over the place. I couldn't do nothing about it, but kind of just stand there taking in Savannah too. I was like, how they gonna come beat us in Savannah? And I remember, so when he would text me, he was like, he'll say something like, I know you're scared to come to Athens. I promise you I won't ask you to play basketball, but you could come to the party. And so I would get the brothers and some of the sisters, and we would ride up. And I remember going to the theater and walking through, and I think we came in there straight stepping actually one time. And
Show it out. Yeah. And I remember that it was your birthday because I remember that he did go on stage and everybody did say
right,
happy
right, right,
birthday
right.
to
And that was
you.
the thing, is when you meet quality people and we get good people like that. CJ, I mean, just salt of the earth, man, guy
Yeah.
that really did a lot. But we meet people like that, and just in general in life, you try to leave that impression. And one of the things I want to be able to do is say, I try my best to support everyone. And that's what it's about. So that's why you're gonna see me in Athens, and that's why you're gonna see me in Macon, or you'll see me in Atlanta, or you see me down in Valdosta Screen. I mean, I'll go wherever you need me to go at, as long as I know in advance, as
Yeah.
long as I could grab a cigar.
See, I just learned that about you. I didn't know about the cigar part. I got you. That's one thing I like about these shows. I learned something new about every guest. I thought I knew it all, but I don't. So let me ask you this. You were very, very busy in 2017. And so let's talk about some of your accomplishments, like the Leadership Savannah. You were a Leadership Savannah graduate, and also about the Citizen Academy. Let's talk a little bit about that, and then how did those accomplishments kind of help you inform and shape you to where you are today?
All right. So, I've always knew the leadership path in something I was going to do. I mean, it seemed like even in 6th grade, whatever I got involved in, I became the president of. Not on purpose. It just happened. I just had a conversation with a good friend today or yesterday about just like everything that I've done. It seemed like it was just, oh, Moncello, you want to be the president? I'd be like, sure. You know, even though to me, I didn't even know what I was doing. I really didn't, a lot of times. And so, Leadership Savannah is many cities have their own leadership program that's usually ran through the local chamber of commerce there. Our Leadership Savannah is a very large program here. We have about 44 people, between 40 and 45 people every year to go through this kind of about an 8-month class about what leadership is, and presents opportunities for you to meet key people around the area, things that you need to know about your economy, about your government, about your medical, about military, about education, all these topics. Each month is a different topic. I had always known about the program. Um, I didn't get a chance to do it. One, because I thought the cost was, I wouldn't be able to afford it at one point. And then somebody reached out to me and said, "Hey, Moncello, man, you're doing some great. I think you should do this program. I'll sponsor you." I'm like, "Oh, great. I'll definitely do it." And so anyway, graduated from that program. It was an excellent program led by the Savannah Area Chamber of Commerce. And my classmates end up being in such a diverse field. You know, you talking about someone from Georgia Southern, somebody from Georgia Power, you got lawyers, you got military, you got attorneys, you got real estate. I mean, you name it, you got PR, you name it, it was all in this one little group.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them aspire to be local leaders. A lot of them are not expired; they're already local leaders. A lot of some of them are getting to from whether it's a business thing or a political thing. But regardless, it was a really good way to dive deeper into your local city. One thing I noticed about the program that most people don't know a lot about their local area, right? You think you know, you from Atlanta, you know this, you know that, you know. We did a tour. One part of the leadership one class was about tourism, so we got a chance to ride the trolley around Savannah, learn stuff. And I thought about it when I got on the trolley, like, I'm from Savannah. I watch these trolleys every day, and I've never been on a trolley before.
Yeah.
One time in my life. And so being around there, seeing it from a different angle, you know, it was different from me walking down the street or driving, from being on a trolley and stopping and looking at monuments and looking at all kind of things and hearing stories. So that was a great thing. Right after that, I did the Citizens Academy, which was a more police-based leadership class. It was a shorter class, maybe about 2 months, and that class kind of dived into what happens on the law and order side, and it really, like, you know, talking to a lot of police officers, talking to fire department, and those folks in those realms. And you got a chance to learn and listen and talk and see things. You got a chance to do some ride alongs with some police officers and see some of the calls that they get, how they handle certain things. And so that was really unique, because we oftentimes get on social media and judge everything, right? We just say what we think is right and wrong. And oftentimes we don't know. We never had to experience those things. You could easily talk about what you would have did with money if you ain't got it, or what you would have did with this if you don't have it. It's easy to talk about those things. And if I was in that situation, I would have did that. Well, it sounds good. Try being broke, or try being in that situation, or, you know, it's just so many different things that happen. And so one of the things as a leader, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to learn and soak in as much as I can, so that opportunity presents itself for me to weigh in on it, I have the best information, the best knowledge at my hands as possible to make informed decisions.
Right, right. And I think it's important for people to see, you talked about this earlier about diversity, right? And putting yourself into different arenas where you can learn from different people. And I think it's so important for people to tap into different life experiences like that, because you get to see it from a different perspective. Right. You know, I've never been in those type of leadership academies. I do know that Rockdale County does have something similar to.
You should try it out.
And I'm going to look into it. But I was going to say that even when you know people that are in law enforcement, and we know quite a bit of them, just talking to them when different things come on TV and just getting their perspective on it, I've learned a lot just doing that. Because, like you said, if you're not in that situation, it's so easy to look from the outside in and say what you think you would have done. But somebody said this to me a long time ago, and I've kept this. The one person you really don't know is yourself, because you think you will respond in a certain way in a situation, but wait until you get into it.
Right.
You might not even respond that way. You just don't know. So you think you know yourself, but you really don't know yourself until you get into them situations.
That's right.
You know? That's right. So it's so easy, like you said, it's so easy to judge sitting from the outside looking at the door. But once you're behind the door, you just never know what's going on.
That's right. Yeah, I noticed that a lot in different sections, or even just dealing with so many groups. I'm in my hands in a lot of things, and I will often hear negative comments on a decision that was made, you know, or, well, why did y'all do this with the parade, or why the Black Heritage Festival didn't do this? And it's like, why this? Like, well, it's easy for you to say like what we should have done, or when it comes to like Sigma or conference, I wish they would have bought the baby down. You know, we couldn't afford them. You know what I'm saying? Like trust me, it's a lot of planning for almost everything that people see. When people finally see a product, it's a lot of planning going to, and a lot of times people are really sitting there, really trying to do their best to make with what they have. And unfortunately, people who have never planned or have not been a part of that process, it's easy for them to judge what should have happened in that process.
There's a lot of moving parts, is what
It
I'm.
is a lot of moving parts.
There's a lot of moving parts, and you just don't know. I would rather for people to ask, than to, like you said, get on the book of faces and just blast me, but you never asked.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
I'll tell you, because of these two moving parts, we couldn't do this. But
Right.
if you would have just asked instead of blasting me, then you would have known.
Right.
Yeah, the book of faces is what I call it.
Book of faces. I'm gonna try it out.
Okay, so
Notes down on this one.
we talked about some of your accomplishments and some of your training that you've had. I want to talk a little bit about. Well, we're going to talk about this, and then we're going to go into the company. So let's talk a little bit about, and I know you've had, because of you working in Savannah and in the community, talk a little bit about how you were introduced to being a part of Miss Abrams' campaign. How did you meet her?
I won't say meet her. The campaign I got involved with in 2018, just as a volunteer. Didn't know a lot about, a lot. Just know that I believed in her and believed that she was a great choice for us. And so I found a way to get involved. I actually was working with a group of friends, and we decided to start a PAC, a political action committee, and support her and her campaign. And we just did a big fundraiser to donate to the campaign. That's how it really started. And so we got signs made around Savannah. We just kind of did our own thing. We wasn't working for the campaign. We were just having fun, just trying to find a way to help Ms. Abrams win. And of course, in 18, we lost that race. And when opportunity presented itself again, at that point, I had already kind of started making my name in the political world, and the opportunity presented itself again, and so I jumped on and got involved, and it's been a fun ride, and trying to do all we can to secure this vote for her on November 8th.
So let me ask you this: what is maybe a couple of things that you didn't know that you know now that you think is very important that you can share? Because now you have the insight. We were just talking about looking from things from the outside. Is there a couple of things you didn't know that you do know now that, maybe like how it's ran or what's important to political campaigns or?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the learning curve, the training, the knowledge is so different. I think I know more how robust, how large a campaign is and how hard it is to make everything. I think that's one of the biggest things. On a small campaign, a local campaign, if it's easy for a candidate to make around events around town, right? Because you're running your town. But imagine running for a statewide position as governor and you trying to touch as many cities as possible and as many people as possible. And I think seeing that is kind of what amazes me, like how big this thing is and how important it is actually too at the same time, because everyone wants to be seen and everybody wants to be touched, and just trying to do your best to get the word out to as many people as possible. I think that's one of the most amazing things I've seen.
Yeah, and you have to have a lot of help. Like you said, a local race is totally different than a regional race or a statewide race, and it takes a lot of again moving parts, to get the word out. I remember you joining in 2018, and you said it's just, again, here you go, networking.
That's right.
A group of you forward your own thing. We were gonna get together for a common goal and let's do it.
That's right. Man, listen, I always tell people if I was going to be an expert in something, which I don't think I'm an expert in anything. If I was going to be an expert in something, if I would have wrote a book about something, it would be about networking. Networking, if somebody asked me what defines my life, it would be networking. I am a master networker. I can go to any place. I can meet anyone. I can have a conversation about anything. I am random. I don't need a group of people to be with me to do it. I can have fun. If you tell me let's road trip to Timbuktu, Arizona, I'm like, let's go. We'll find something to do there. As long as I can get in front of a couple of people and sit down and have food or a drink or cigar or anything. I love networking, and we definitely need to make sure that education is a major thing that we need to continue to push for our kids, but we also need to make sure that we teach them the power of networking. Like, how do you work with people? How do you learn? How do you know how to be in a conversation? How do you know how to be engaging in the conversation? How do you talk in that conversation? Are there certain mannerisms and things that you do? Because people judge you off anything, and if you don't know how to really be in a space, if you come in there too loud or too aggressive, or if you're wearing maybe certain things wrong, and some of those things may not be fair things, but we do have these social norms and the things that people kind of are used to and accept and adapt to. And so that's a very major thing. And if you're in business, it can totally impact your business.
Yes.
Tina, you're a great business person. I love that. I know that when I come and see you at a conference, I don't care if I'm across the room, you go, "Hello, so," and the first thing to come to my mind is like, I need to buy something. But that's networking. And
After you give me my hug.
but the thing is, you've never asked for it. You never pressured me to do anything I don't want to do. You never. But that's networking, because you tend to want to support and want to buy things from people who you like and people who you network with. And if we learn, what I notice, a lot of people want the great results, but they don't want to put in the work. Right. And so it's so many network, like in Atlanta, it's chambers and black chambers and networking groups and gathering spots. There's so many places that you could go to meet people. But we rather make a post on Facebook and say, y'all don't support me, support black. Go out there and put the work in and go meet some people and
Right.
put a smile on someone's face and go out there and give. And that's one of the things I think that has made me really good in the space that I'm in. Everybody knows that I may be a business person, but I'm a community person first, and I'm always give first.
Yeah, and the key word is you're very resourceful.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I taught my children that at a young age. I taught them. I said, you have to be resourceful. And how do you become resourceful? Is you have to learn the gift of networking.
Right.
That's how you become resourceful.
That's right.
Because
That's right.
it is a good feeling that when you need something and you don't have the resources, but you know somebody that does.
Right.
So
That's right.
because the networking and the relationship you built with that person, you're able to pick up the phone and say, hey, I just have a question. You can't do that. Some people don't want to be bothered, but if you build a relationship with that person, that person will give you an open door. So you are very resourceful. I can say that.
Yeah, I love networking and talking to people, and I love trying to bring stuff together. I have a classmate that's a good friend of mine, and we've been talking for the last couple of months about us starting a gardening club, and each one of us like grow a different product, and we just share off each other. And we've been like thinking about this for a while now. I don't know nothing about no gardening. I don't have a green thumb. I never do nothing a day in my life. But I'm like, I think I could do this. I'm like, give me the most simplest thing. Tomatoes, that's the simplest thing. Give me the most simplest thing to grow. But I love the idea of working together.
Yeah.
And you accomplish more together. And I think that's I build that in pretty much everything I do.
Right. And see you didn't know anything about gardening. This is a perfect example. So you don't know anything about gardening, but you know someone else that knows something about it. They have a passion about it. So now, if you connect with that person, guess what? That's more thing that you know about that you didn't know about before. It's really that simple. But you got to be able to put in the work, right?
Right.
With networking, you got to be able to put in the work.
If you see me next year and you see I done lost 100 pounds, just know it's because I done started a gardening club and I'm eating only vegetables at this point.
Give me some tomato and cucumber. Right.
Right.
So listen, we've been talking about networking and we've been talking about being resourceful. Let's talk about your new baby. Let's talk about Trident Strategy Group. a strategic communications and public relations firm that you have there in Savannah, Georgia. Tell the viewers a little bit about that.
Yeah. So Trident Strategy Group is a marketing public relations company. That one of the things that being here in though Savannah has a large African American base, we are the majority here in Savannah. I love my community in all sectors of my community, but what you start noticing that some of the African American businesses did not, have some of the resources to marketing and public relations, especially on a I want to say cheaper, but in a budget that they can afford. So I created this thing, and with help from others, um, created this piece to be able to go out there and work with candidates who may be running for office or businesses who may be needing extra help on business consulting, starting a business, political campaigns, of course, or just strategic marketing campaigns. And I've gotten a chance to be involved with a lot of stuff, and it, maybe kind of moving towards some of the governmental relations and lobbying side. But from things you may see on your ballots that I got a chance to kind of be a part of and push. Or it could be the company that just say I need social media management, or it could be the company that say, well, I haven't been turning profit, and I just really need to really talk through this and see what that looks like. So it's a full service marketing and PR company, and just really excited to have this going for about a year now, and just growing really leaps and bounds.
When I went to your website and read the entire website, I said, now, once I read your bio, then I thought about what I knew about you. I said, okay, now this makes sense because everything prior prepared you to launch this.
Right.
It really did. It prepared
Right.
you.
Right. Yeah. When people hire someone in PR and stuff like that, they're looking for someone to have reach and has knowledge. And sitting on so many boards and being involved with so many groups, it was like, hey, Moncello, we want, and it really just happened. I'll be honest with you. It really just happened. The idea of it, the just thinking about getting to the point, it wasn't like, oh, I went to school for this. It was really, I'm out in the community. I'm meeting people. I'm getting to know people. I'm still having these same issues, and so I was like, well, I think I could help with that. I think I could help with that, and then it just grew into something larger than what I even thought.
Right. Now I'm going to get you to define what is strategic communications.
Yeah, that's everything. That's messaging. That is,
That's
that's messaging. That's how you communicate your message to others, whether that be digital, whether that be anything web, whether that be face to face, whether that, and so all of those things like that. So when Tina says that I got True Blue Designs and I want to create a communication plan for my organization. Well, I'm gonna look through that and say, well, what do you have? How do you communicate now? What are your social media platforms? Do you have a newsletter? Do you have any of these type things? And if you do have those things, what's the reach in those things? Oh, and then we start developing, how can we reach it more? How can we target audience more? What other platforms can we use? Or do we need to boost some ads and do Google's ads or Facebook ads or any of those things like that matter? But a lot of the times it's just really about sitting down with a business one-on-one, developing a relationship with that business owner, telling them that they can grow to another level, and just making sure that you have a plan to get there. Most businesses do not have a marketing plan. You just go out and start a business and say, I got my business. That's one reason why we fail, about not having a business plan, marketing plan. All those things really matter. It's not nothing just to put on paper. It's something that you need to have for you. It's not about you going to try to get a business plan, apply for a loan. It's about you telling yourself, this is my 1 and my 3, my 5-year goals. These are the ways I'm gonna get here. This is my structure in my business. All the things really matter. Creating that marketing plan. Like, what do you do in marketing? People used to say, out of your profit, you should take a certain percentage. I think at one point it was like 20% of your profit to put into marketing. That may or may not work still, and especially in the economy now. Even though I think business is doing well, but you still have to have a plan. You still have to know, like, what do I do? How do I face people? What do people see about me? What do my business cards look like? Do I have a digital card? Does that work for me? Do I need more, depending on what my product is, or businesses or services? Is a certain social media platform that work better for it? Do newsletters work for my business? Do I need flyers? Do I need to put stuff in newspapers? Do I need to find out a way to be press worthy and stay in the press often? Like all those things really matter, and all those are conversations that you should have with yourself, or a marketing strategist should have with you, so that you can develop how to grow your business.
And someone like me who is, you know, the true definition of a small business, because it's just me. You know, what your services are so needed because you can't do it all. You know, there were for well, I can tell you for 13 years, 12 years, my CPA kept telling me I needed to get a bookkeeper. You've been doing good. You've been doing good. But Tina, you need to get a bookkeeper. So I ended up getting a call one day, and somebody just out of the blue was going to give me a $10,000 project. But the only key is I had to have some type of electronic billing. So I had QuickBooks, but I didn't have QuickBooks, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, I had, right?
Mhm.
I always talk about what's in your hand. And so I called, and the guy told me, you have 24 hours to figure it out. I'm going to the next person. So I called QuickBooks, and they were like, no, you have it. Let me show you what to do. So I did that, and then I ended up hiring a bookkeeper. And me hiring this particular bookkeeper in 1 year, just my business, just my profit soared, right? And I'm only saying that to telling the viewers this because you can't do it all by yourself.
Right.
You have to come to a point where you have to be open to trusting people,
Right.
to letting them in to help you. Because if you stay just one person or just 2 or 3 people, then your growth is stunted. You're stunting your growth. And I had to learn that the hard way, because it's amazing that in 1 year, I did this. And what you talked about, I was hoping that you would talk about your services, because I was like, I can't do it all. That marketing piece and social media, because if you're not on social media, then I found out you have to be on there. You have to be on there often. You have to have a plan. You have to have, continuous hits. You can't just what we call a hit it and quit it. Can't do that, right?
Right.
Because your viewership does this, or your followers do this, right? So yeah, so I'm glad you discussed. Yeah, I'll make sure it's in December.
Marketing,
The analytics and all of that, I can't.
right.
I can't do it.
Yeah, marketing is so important, and we see it all the time. We see it every day. We see it every time you go to a store and they collect your email address or they collect your phone number. The thing about it is, this is the craziest thing. We allow it to happen to us, but we won't do it for our own business. We will go to a store and give them an email address every time they ask for it if need be. But we have our own business that we don't collect our own data so that we can promote our own business. And that's important. You have to collect data. Data collection is the easiest way to grow your business. You need to, every person you touch, you got to find a way to pull everybody in, to put them in a database, to make sure that if you want to market to a certain group of people, you can. Marketing, I mean, it's millions of dollars out here in just researching how to target audiences. And so every viewer that you have on this call or on any other calls, we got to find a way to hit them up too. We got to find a way to find, and this is important. I know during campaign season, we see it mostly in campaign season, right? I mean, I'm sure many of us got text messages and emails from all the campaigns, and people are always tired of. We tired of them. That is marketing.
Yeah.
You think people not gonna vote because they got all those messages? They're gonna get tired of it, but they still gonna vote. You're not gonna lose votes off it. So it's like those things are really important in making sure that we are collecting data.
Yeah, and I saw on the news, I think it was last night or the night before, I didn't know this, that even though that we're all in the metropolitan Atlanta area, certain parts are seeing certain things. So they had a campaign strategist or somebody on the news, and they were saying that you may see a certain set of commercials, but your neighbor in the next zip code depending on what the demographics has shown them,
Right.
they may see I didn't even know that. I thought everybody that lives here may see the same. I didn't know that.
And that's against strategic communications, targeting different audience and zip codes. And you can break it down in so many different places, but and that's important to trying to get your message out, because what may resonate in the Black community may not resonate in the Hispanic community, and so
Right.
those things are really important.
Yeah. So see, that's part of strategic communication. Let's talk about this. Um, Not particularly the race, but this election year, this being an election year. Can you talk to the viewers about how important it is for us to exercise our right to vote?
You know, exercising our right to vote is one of the most fundamental, one of the most sound things to do, to voice your opinions on what's going on. It is so alarming when I see election cycles where low voter turnout is there, and then you see people the very next day complaining about issues in their own communities. You change those issues by dropping that ballot. And so this election is like no other. We are definitely hoping people get out. Right now, it's some high voter turnout in Georgia, and so far last week was the first week of early voting. We're in the middle of the second week right now, so we're hoping everybody get out to the polls. And it is very important because it's so many things on the line, regardless of what you agree. It could be, gun laws. It could be, criminal justice reform. It could be SB 202. It could be the Roe versus Wade issue. It could be economics or community. It could be a Medicaid expansion. Those things are important things, and usually most people are on one side or the other of those things. And so, exercising your right to vote is important. Myself, I've already exercised my right because I got out there and early voted, and I'm encouraging everybody else to get out there as well too. I'm looking to be a part of electing the first African American female governor for this great state of Georgia. So I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, we turned Georgia blue last time.
Yes, 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 yes.
So we need to. I saw her on the show with Oprah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Now we need to turn it purple. I saw that.
Yeah, that was dope. I saw that.
Yeah,
that was nice.
that was good. Cause I like when she said, I'm not just a blue governor or a red governor. I want to be a purple governor. Blue and red together is purple. I want to be everybody. I'm going to support everybody. I'm here to serve everybody.
And I guess that worked well for Oprah, the color purple. So yeah.
She liked that because she mentioned that.
Right. But yeah, this is important times for us, and time for us to consider, what do we want this Georgia to look like, and what we want our future to look like. And when I think about the reason why I'm behind this stuff, I'm thinking about the reason why I'm behind Stacey. I could look no further than her campaign, the people that's around her, the diversity, the look of the campaign looks like what I want this beloved community to look like.
Let me ask you a question, because I did see that the debate between Senator Warnock and Herschel Walker was actually in Savannah this year. How big was that decision to bring it to Savannah? How big was that for that area?
Well, I'm sure it was a great. I mean, a big decision. I mean, it was a lot of ties here to both candidates. Herschel, going to UGA here, have close Savannah ties here with Uga being down here in Savannah a lot. Living here, you got Reverend Warnock, who's from here. So it was amazing opportunity to see that the city. I had not seen the city lit up like that in so long. It was so many news reporters and guests, and I mean, it was just, Savannah was really we really put on for that debate, and it was really good to see, and that debate was important as well to understand the issues at hand, watch both sides debate. I think, you know, it was a lot of action and commotion outside of the debate. That was interesting to me to see all the the fans of the both candidates. But and I'll be honest with you, I'm very excited to get behind and support Reverend Raphael Warnock and the things that he's trying to do here. I really support that, and I think that he's doing pretty well, and I'm excited about supporting him for another term.
Yesterday on, I was watching Roland Martin yesterday, and one of his guests made this comment, and I'm gonna let you expound on it because it really hit home for me. Yes, we want you to get out and vote, but getting out, you casting your vote is only one part of the equation. And the guest said that once you vote, then you have to hold the person that you voted for accountable to that they said that they're going to do. So they were saying that a lot of times you vote and then you forget about it until whatever that issue is personally affects you, right? But you have to stay in the game, 365. The voting is only the first part. Yes, we want you to vote, but you have to hold that person accountable and you have to be in that fight with them. So can you elaborate? Because that was true.
Yeah.
And can you elaborate a little bit on
that? That's where we kind of miss at. We vote and we go home. And first of all, it's another part of that too, is once you vote is if you want that person to get in office, get somebody else to vote. So let's get that part too. Right. But once they get in those positions, when we talk about holding people accountable, oftentimes, we leave them out there high and dry. We don't email them. We don't come back to their town hall meetings. We don't really do anything until it's back to election time. When you talk about holding someone accountable, it's following the things that they're voting for. I love watching certain things. Watching the candidates once they get in, send emails about what they're voting on and things that they're pushing, so we can know what's going on. I love being invited to a town hall when they kind of give us an update and address on things that they have going on, because that's how you hold them accountable. And so when you start seeing things that they're not doing that they say they was going to do, or things that they hadn't done yet, now you could slip them that email or that phone call if you're that close with them and say, hey, what's going on? You told me that we're using to push this agenda, but now I'm seeing this, what's going on? I'm not going to be able to cast my ballot the second time if you don't do these things. And that's very important. We oftentimes miss that as soon as the election is over, and we kind of go back in our cubby until it's time to vote again. But it's very important that we kind of follow the news. We follow these things that they're voting on. We watch who they're voting with. All the things we matter. We follow the money trail. All those things are really, really important as it relates to someone in office. And so I'm a person that does those things. I hold my electeds accountable. I send the emails. I send the questions. And sometimes it's just questions. Hey, I heard you about to push this, but I don't know about this. Can you tell me why you're supporting this? Because sometimes I just need information that you may have firsthand that I don't have. And that's great. Well, why are we building this road instead of this road? Just want to know, because I thought this road was more important. But maybe you knew that we had to do some infrastructure on that road that we couldn't do yet, and that's why we moved to the other road. And those are the kind of things that you just don't know, but you would know if you kind of followed up and held them accountable. Right.
It goes back to what you said before, just asking the question.
Just asking the question. That's it.
Just asking the question. Yeah. I've learned a lot this last 2 election cycles, and me personally, I'm just going to talk about me. I have to be more proactive than reactive, and like you said, go to the county meetings and really get involved to know what's going on in my local area here, and get those strategic networking going, because out of sight, out of mind. But when they start to see you,
you'll be missing out on contracts just by not even going meeting people and going to see certain things. And really, and one of the things that I would want to push is get involved on a local level, because most of the time it's hard to get involved on the state, and federal level. But on the local level, that's where you could really get involved, and that's where you could really meet people and have one of most local aldermen and commissioners. They don't mind giving you their cell phone number or a personal email or whatever, because that's a smaller level. They're not getting contacted as much as someone on the state or federal level. And so it's easy to kind of learn from there and go to their events and go to the because the thing is regardless if you get involved or not, every day someone is pushing and passing or trying to put something over you that's going to involve you, that's going to impact you or your household, your property. And would you want to sit there and let someone make a decision about what you have going on without having no input in it?
Wow.
No, you got to go put input in it.
Wow. I was going to ask you if there was one last thing you want to say to the audience, but that was it. You're right. Would you want to sit by and let somebody make a decision for you? That is it. Moncello, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You know I love you.
I promise I said I was going to call you that. I got it at the end of the show. You always be myself. Thank you so much for saying yes. I know you are extremely busy, but again, you're a man of your word, and you promised to carve out an hour with me, and I just thank you so much. The information that you shared is very inspiring and educational. I will wait until December to call you, because now that I have all the information I need about your company, I will be calling you in December because I do need help. Right. So I appreciate that. But you stay on. Don't go anywhere. Everybody, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's show. We were on with Moncello Stewart, the owner of Trident Strategy Group, located in Savannah, Georgia. We will see you next Wednesday, same time, same place. Don't you go anywhere. I'm going to end the show. Let's see. Where's the outro? Oh, here we go. Good night, everybody.
Good night.